Hello, everyone. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. It looks like everything is working properly. Uh, it seems that my hard drive is in the process of slowly dying. Well, hello there, Andy. Thank you for coming in. Uh, did you ever? Where I don't know how close to Gets you are, but did you go or are you too far away? Uh, I know, I know. There's a very big pond that's between me and there, so I wasn't able to make it. Uh, but hello there, Valleys 56XX. Let me do this real quickly. Uh, Both days. Yeah, only 30 miles away. Cool. Um, but yes, it's nice when you have a large show that's relatively close to you. Um, there, well, I would have to say this month, I think there's. Oh, wait a second. There was one that my club used to go to a lot. It was a smaller venue, and with the pandemic and all that, they stopped going. But now it's one of those things of they're thinking of maybe doing something this particular time. Off the top of my head, I forgot exactly what date it is. But I do know they said they have a room for a small layout. But I mean, it's one of those things of, oh, that's interesting. Seeing the latency between live chat on YouTube and chat on StreamYard is very close now. I think there was almost like a 3-second delay, and now it looks like they're almost right on top of each other. But I'm trying to think who's on Sidetrack Sunday. I think this is, well, I want to say I think it's normally Ray, but the thing is, I guess this month everything is all a little discombobulated. So it's one of those things of they're doing like a shell game of who's doing what. So I don't know who is tonight. I'm assuming somebody will let me know in the chat. But yeah, I'm actually in the process of one, probably getting a new drive for my laptop that I'm using for this. But I'm also in the process of looking into dusting off an old tower that I have. It's so old it has PS2 connections on it. And when I got it, it was used then. So my well, if you don't know, you don't know. That's okay, Andy. I'm sort of billing myself as the unauthorized and illegal pre-show to STS. But I know there's I guess I'm a little bit too early because I know there are some that they're not on here because they're doing stuff with their families, which fair enough. But I think I'm starting to get a I want to say a normal audience, I guess. I think everyone here is part of that. I know there's times that, like with Valleys, he wasn't a moderator. I made him a moderator. Sort of like what I don't quite do what Anthony Dodge does. Uh, yeah, I would. I think I got this laptop during the pandemic. It's an i5. It seems to, basically what I'm planning on doing is doing something that's very, uh, basically replacing the motherboard and processor of uh, this old tower. Basically because it's like the tower's fine. The power supply's okay, so it's sort of like having a car that the engine blew on it. It's like I'm like, well, I guess I can turn around and just replace the engine and transmission and all that, and get a pretty much met him yesterday and today. Who did you met? AD. Not sure who AD is. Oh, Anthony Dodge. All right, duh. I forgot he's there. Yeah, it's one. It's not on my bucket list, but it would be sort of interesting to meet him and Joyce. But it's one of those things that go like, oh my god, I need to meet them. Because I have met, I guess, more well-known YouTubers that are out there at Amherst, because Amherst is only about a 2.5 hour drive. So it's one of those things of, I mean, us YouTubers are just basically the same. We're just normal people. It's just that, I mean, with Heath, I mean, he's the one that sort of, poked and prodded me to start this channel. So it's one of those things of, I usually, pretty much every Amherst I've been to, I've met him, and he's just like the rest of us, just trying to get ahead and all that. But the reason why I haven't really gone gung ho on this channel, because about a month after I started this, trying to figure things out, I did something silly and got employed because I was unemployed at the time. So I'm thinking, oh, I'll try this out. So I never dove into, I started trying to do all the things like with TubeBuddy, IDV, it's like all the different things of, hey, how can you turn around and do a good channel? I've basically, after that, I'm like going like, okay, I got to concentrate on real job and all that. And I started using this channel more as a hobby. And I think, this, like, I had the initial going up. But for about 2 years, I was like stuck at 100, and I think I'm at 125 now or something along those lines. Could probably quickly check, but again, if I remember correctly, it took Ray Bell, who started Sidetrack Sunday, I guess he said it took, he's been doing this for I don't want to say a decade, but well, you're very welcome, Valleys. Basically, sort of like, I'm not quite sure why YouTube does it this way, but it's to help check out other people's channels. The reason why I don't do it immediately like Anthony Dodge does Because if somebody pops in just once, to me it doesn't make any sense to make them a moderator. Sort of like if I see you on other channels, and you come here a bunch of times and all that, I sort of recognize you. Then to me it makes sense to make you a moderator so you can check everybody else out. But another thing is that the reason why I'm changing to the nose is itchy. Changing to the tower instead of the laptop. The reason why I was using the laptop for, I would say, almost a decade now. Not this specific laptop, but laptops in general. Because before moving to Vermont, I was using my laptop. I was going, there was a makerspace I belonged to. I would also go to the library and all that and use basically the public Wi-Fi or at the makerspace. But then when I got here, especially after the lockdown, it's like all of a sudden, you can't really go to the library anymore. You can't really do this. You can't. So I bit the bullet and turned around and got internet for the apartment. And now it just makes more sense of, instead of using a laptop, using an actual tower, because I got everything wired in now. It's a little, I got the laptop itself is wired in, but the thing is now I got cables coming out the side, and it's definitely not neat. And because, in order for me to have the camera for the laptop where I want it, which is a little bit higher than normal, I actually have a bunch. The laptop's actually on a bunch of books, and in order to, so instead of doing this, trying to, type and all that, I got a wireless keyboard that I originally was going to be using for Raspberry Pis, but since then I have misplaced said Pis. But I am, but going back to the why is my nose itchy tonight? Having the tower and then having its own keyboard. This is a nice keyboard, but it's missing the number pad. And not only that, it takes batteries. And actually, you got a whole bunch of batteries. I need to I found out recently that the local hardware store recycles them. It's like, I can actually bring them there. And right now, the wireless mouse, it needs new batteries. So while I'm dropping off the old batteries, I can turn around and pick up new ones. But the thing is, with the tower, I can have everything wired in. But I definitely had to find where I can get computer parts. I got to contact one of the people that I work at home and can go 2 keyboards a year. So tend to bunch. Well, I actually don't type much. I actually use the mouse more than anything, and that's it seems to. Well, when the batteries are fresh, it works fine. I just happened to notice today that it's getting a little glitchy. So it's like one of those things going like. But yeah, the same thing with the hard disk drive. At first, I thought it had ran out of space on it because I would turn around and do the clear out the memory, do the defrag, and it still was showing that it's still not operating at full speed. So when I looked at the properties, it's basically there's like this one little sliver of one side, and then everything else is. It's like, how did I fill up a terabyte of memory? And what I have found out, it's that I didn't fill it out with memory. It actually, that sliver is what I'm using, but it's been over about 2 years and all that. And one thing I don't like about this computer is that it was constantly using the hard drive. The operating system is on a solid state drive, and that's still working fine. All right. Well, Andy, thank you very much for popping in. And yeah, I had to leave early this morning, so that's why I wasn't on your setup this morning. But I might be able, if I might be able to pop in. But the thing is that there's a member of the church I go to that basically they walk to church because they're that close. But now that the weather's starting to change and all that, she's in her 70s and all that, and she's getting to the point going like, I can't really do it anymore. God. Okay, so I didn't miss anything. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, Andy. Sounds like you had a good time with the Dodges, and have yourself a good night, and go from there. And yeah, 2 days of action and all that, I'd be pretty much shot also. But yeah, it's actually turned around. I actually with the last Tuesday, I actually brought it to the makerspace that I'm still a member of. I brought the tower there and plugged it all in just to see if it worked and all that. Turned it on and all that. It's like it's not really doing anything. The fan's spinning. The fan on the cooler spinning. It's like, all right, that there's power and all that. It's like, why is the operating system not popping up? And I happen to realize there's no hard drive in it. It's like, oh, that actually, there's no operating system. That's why it's not doing anything. Well, right now, for me, I don't really go. I'm not really. There's a big show that's going to be showing up in Syracuse, New York, that my modular club that normally goes to. I usually don't go because it's far enough. It's a 2-day show, and also at the same time, pretty much people stay overnight, and so I don't really do that. And right now, being unemployed, it's like I'm not buying anything. I'm basically turning around and decided to, and I probably will do this after I get reemployed. Is actually finish the. Hello there, Kyle. Thank you for coming in. Actually finishing projects that I've started or that I've bought. I mean, I got a bunch of unbuilt kits. They're still in the box, brand new. There's one wooden kit that I bought. I forgot the reason why I bought it, because it was something that I would not normally buy. But I think it was for a fundraiser or something along those lines. I forgot the details. I'll probably, once I start this building, I'll probably will try to remember what the actual the original idea behind it was, and then build it from there. And that's just it. It's like it's I've gotten to the point in my life of, okay, let's start building all the kits I have instead of buying more kits. Because there's some kits I had that I think are over a decade old, and they're still in the box. So that's why I decided to, actually finish the stuff that I got. There are some things that, especially the 6-foot gauge that I'm doing, I have to, figure out how to redesign some stuff. With the locomotive that I'm doing, it's like I have to buy new trucks for the tender. Because they're OO gauge, so they're oversized. So I need to buy HO scale trucks that I can turn around and change the gauge on them. So they're going to be 3-piece ones by LaBelle instead of the 1-piece KD ones, because I need to change the gauge, and it's harder to do it when it's all 1 piece. But if it's already 2 pieces, there's basically set up already to do it that way. Absolutely, Dave. And thank you for coming in. And it's one of those things of going, oh, this is cool, I'll build it now, and then never put it together. There was this one time, Tony Steele from the he's known for the upper second subdivision of the Delaware and Hudson. Let's see, I stopped buying things for a bit, swapped out 4 dodgy points for Electrofly, changed track work. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, sometimes maintenance is maintenance. I mean, that's why you wind up doing things along those lines. But it's one of those things of, I know it's not good for the quote model train industry to not buy stuff, but since I'm modeling 1876, there's not that much stuff out there for me to buy. Yeah, and that's an important thing, Kyle, is, what are you going to do with the layout? Because once you figure out what you want for the layout, then what you're planning on doing winds up being better for your wallet and what you're going to be happy with when you're done. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to do the thing in order to figure out if you like it or not. Same thing like doing live streams. You don't know what issues are, you can plan, you can practice, but until you actually hit that, go live button, you don't know. To-do list is so long, it'll be spring before I need to buy anything else, which that is not necessarily a bad thing. Because sometimes, it's like sometimes, if your to-do list is extremely long, you might not want to do it because it's going to take you so long to do it. But it depends on who you are. You know, it's like does doing the small, uh, yeah, does doing small things that you know you get small victories. So oh, okay, I got this done. I got this done. Uh, or you know, some people are. It's like they want to get rid of the big things first because then you know as you get rid of the big things and you get smaller and smaller and smaller and so you get momentum that way. Uh, everyone is different, and let me just double check something here. Let's see. What if I do this? Can I do this? Will it let me do this? Yes, it will let me do this. Okay, that's a little bit better. I'm not sure why, but having StreamYard on this monitor, the one in front of me, is causing it to constantly flicker and all that, which is very annoying. Excuse me, but I put it on that monitor off to the side, so I'm sort of looking over here instead of straight towards you. It is not flickering, so you gotta remember to look at the camera, not the monitor. And then there's YouTube on that one. So maybe you gotta look this way to try to do things. But YouTube does have a slight delay, so it's this one has the live camera on it, but the YouTube is slightly delayed. So need to put up my last two modulars on legs so you can see what I can do with as long as my thing doesn't. Yeah. And also, you also got to figure out what you want as a what you want for your goals. Like right now, my goal for this layout, I'm having the Great Train Extravaganza as my deadline to get the layout operational, which not only do I have to make the layout operational, but I also have to make equipment so it can run on to be operational. That's why I'm bouncing back between the layout and the locomotive because I need both of them to have a working layout. But right now I'm concentrating on the layout itself. Wiring it all up, making sure everything is all nice and insulated, and go from there. So let's. This is going to be very odd because I'm used to having StreamYard on this monitor, not that one. But things have. Oh, wait a second! No! Wrong one. Settings I want, not leave studio. And we'll switch to this camera. Are we on this camera? Yes, alright. Alright, now to switch over to the bench work. Now I normally watch for the chat, I usually watch the YouTube chat because that's more in my range. Okay, so look back over here. Stretch that out so we have something to solder to. And take this wire. And port detail turn on. turn on the soldering iron. All right, be right back with. Gotta dip this in. Gotta dip this in water. So clean the soldering tip. Alright. That's one thing I was looking for at my local hardware shop was more soldering tips, because the one I got right now is pretty much crap. I probably should put this in flux first. Yes, basically right now I'm just doing the wiring. Connecting everything together. And normally with Sidetrack Sunday, usually the turns around and gives me recommendations, and that's how I know who's live. But they did tonight. It did not do that, so I do not know who is on Sidetrack Sunday. All right. And unfortunately, you can't see what I'm doing right now. It's too far away from the camera, and it's not within. It's not in sight of the other camera. That's why I'm using this camera instead of the overhead one. Okay. Get that done. Let's do this. Okay, looks like that's done. Yes, I would have to say, Kyle, is a disadvantage of doing modern trains is that need a lot of engines and a lot of cars and a lot of space to run them. This particular layout is only six uh, 6 feet long and technically might be considered too small, but in the in the 1870s, smaller trains are uh, are allowed. I mean, it's like mixed trains and a lot more variety because everything modern equipment seems to favor towards unit trains. All right, so that's that. That's that. Which, I mean, unit trains do make economical sense, but it doesn't really have that much variety. All right. Out. Challenge here is to have this set up. It can still move. All right, I'm gonna have to add the big lights, which may or may not interfere. Usually, I don't usually use these the bigger lights because of usually you see a lot of the interference. There's not that way too much interference between the lights. They're cheap lights and they're cheap webcams, so they don't like each other. Let's see. Let's put this where it won't touch plastic. All right, let's get this where it needs to be. Okay. This one. Put it there. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Taking Amtrak and all that, and so yeah, it's. I do not envy anyone that does. I want to say diesel era, because a lot of times there's a lot of big long trains. I mean, even towards the transition era where you got big boys and challengers and all the big steam engines. They run into the same problem of you sort of kind of almost have to have very large a very large layout in order to do those railroads, but even then, you still had short lines. Don't really have many short lines these days, or modern short lines. There's the Bat and Kill that's near where I live, but I get the impression they only run maybe once in a great while. Maybe possibly, I almost want to say a train a week. And one of the things that they're dealing with is that the state had them raise a bridge because it was one of these low bridges. So they gave them money to raise the bridge, and they gave them just enough money to raise the bridge for road traffic, but not enough to reconnect the tracks so they could do the rail traffic, which separated them from which wound up separating them from their engine house. So everything is sort of no longer covered, equipment-wise. And so their 2 RS3 locomotives are now constantly out in the weather. And if they have to do any maintenance on them, they have to be done outside because they don't have anything. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but isn't passenger freight was closer, the early 1900s, and because the equipment just the engines that they had just weren't strong enough to do big things. You had luck with steam engines. Good luck or bad luck? Because that could be depending on the engines. I know the engines that I'm using for the 6-foot gauge conversion. I've had luck with them over the years, but I never had to re-gauge one, so I'm not quite, it's not going as smoothly as I thought. It's like, just make them wider and all that. But, it looks like the quartering, getting everything all nice and quartered is a little bit more of a challenge than I originally expected. Okay. Let's move this out of the way. I'm actually surprised that the body was actually relatively easy to modify. All I had to do is, not quite sure if you could see there, but basically this air tank was the only thing I had to sort of like dig out, to make it wider. Everything else was wide enough. This is an 00 gauge locomotive, because at the time, they had these massive, motors. So in order to make it look nice and have it inside the cab, they made it 00 scale. I can probably put a more modern engine in there, or more modern motor in there. So the boiler, the back end, or the back head isn't up. Right now the back head is literally up. You know, is literally basically on the cab. Basically out of the cab. It's like there's no way, for someone to actually get inside the locomotive. But having a smaller motor can probably trim this down so it's actually inside the cab instead of hanging parallel to it. But it's what they had at the time. The only other modification I need to do, the only other modifications I need to do is to get rid of the dynamo. 1876, they didn't have electricity wasn't popular at that time, or wasn't popular for remote applications. It's basically still considered a luxury item at the time. And also replacing the headlight with an HO scale one, because as I said, this is 00, so this is actually too large. So if I can turn around and make it smaller, that would make sense. Everything else, broad gauge locomotives were larger. The air brakes, it's like, okay, they would have larger air brakes. The bells could be, you can make the bell larger, so it'd be just a deeper bell instead of a higher pitched one. That, and I think I need to also change the cab. The cab is riveted, so I'd have to change it to not only to HO scale, but also change it to a wooden cab. Also thinking I don't have to, but also possibly also change the smokestack, and maybe also possibly the shorten the smoke box. Possibly, I don't know. It depends on how much I'm in the mood to do all the changes. But all right, so we have I want to say the common rail done. Or do I have the common rail? Yes, I have the common rail done. All right. So up next, we will do is this supposed to be? I think I screwed up here. Okay, that's the narrow gauge one. This is the common. So, okay, I got the wrong one set up. I thought I had all the... Let's see. That's common, which is black. Go up here. Let's see, that's common, that's common. Okay, I goofed on this one. Good thing I only goofed up in one direction. Let's see about unsoldering this. All right, got that undone. This is, I think, broad. Yeah, this is broad gauge. That's narrow gauge. And this is common. I somehow screwed that up. That would have led to a short circuit. Well, on the broad gauge anyway. There we go. Okay, now we're back to common. All right. Now, if I had my multimeter around, I would turn around and check to making sure that everything is working properly. But I do not know where that is at this point. All right, well, according to the clock, it's time to switch back over to the, I guess it's called the talking head camera. You have a short of that actual locomotive running around the club's layout last week. Interesting. Yeah, the thing is, diesels are, because there's less moving parts, they are more reliable. Especially when they are designed nicely. All right, back to True Vision. There we go. And let me turn one light off because that's a little too bright. Also give you a sort of orientation exactly how close the thing is up. Yeah, it's I never done MTH or BLI. Bachmann, I do have them, but I haven't really ran them that much. The steam engine that I'm converting is a Mantua, and actually most of the stuff I'm doing, because Bachmann's the only one that's doing 18th century stuff. Has anyone figured out exactly who is on tonight for Sidetrack Sunday? Let's see if I can move this. Hopefully my computer doesn't go, oh! All right, got that. Poking in the right direction. All right, I'm assuming whoever's on Sidetrack Sunday will have it sort of set up where, you know, people are waiting and all that fun stuff. Rick Bailey tonight. All right, thank you, Kyle. Okay, I have seen to somehow. Oh, there it is. Normally, when it says live, when something live stream and all that, it usually has the speaker or anything like that. But all right, well, there we go. I think. Somehow mine went off live. But yeah, it's one of the things with Steam Edge is you got to get the quartering them on there correctly, and then that's when things are working properly. And that's one of the things I'm having a slight challenge with regaging everything. All right, thank you for the link, Kyle. And I guess I'll let everyone off to be able to do what you need to do in the 15 minutes between then. The reason why I do the 6:45 to 7:45 is to let people either have a snack or a bathroom break, or do what you need to do instead of doing jumping from one live stream to the other and that. So I would have to say I believe that the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Bye, everyone.